I think this is the first ever historical fiction book that I'm doing a standalone review for on my channel. I'm gonna have to go back and look through all my videos, but I'm pretty sure it is. Hello, beautiful friends and book lovers. I hope that you're all doing well. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Heather, and here at Heather's Book Review, I typically read and review thrillers and mysteries. So the fact that I am filming a dedicated review for historical fiction, let's just take a second and soak that in, because you guys know, that's big for me. So I'm so excited to film this for so many reasons, but the first reason I'll start with is I posted a help me pick my next book that I'm gonna read, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. And both YouTube and Instagram, oddly enough, got 75 votes each. Murder Road ended up winning, but The Women was a close second. So that was fun. And I've decided to, film this dedicated review for The Women, but I also have a dedicated review for Murder Road, which is likely posted before The Women. So I'll link that up here. But if you watched my March wrap up, which I'll link up here as well, I said that this is my favorite book of the year so far. And I truthfully, it's going to take a badass thriller, something along the lines of The Silent Patient or The Last House on Needless Street, caliber to get a first spot, in my ranking. Okay. I feel like I haven't read a thriller that's been super good since The Last House on Needless Street, and that was, I don't know, 2 years ago at this point. So I likely think this is going to be my favorite book of the year. Okay. It's just, and the reason I'm talking about thrillers so much is because this is mainly a thriller book review channel. So the fact that a historical fiction I'm claiming is going to be my top book of the year, that's it's a big deal. So anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked there. But if you watched my wrap up, I said that I just spoke so highly of this book. I felt like I was just repeating the same thing, but I knew I was going to be filming this dedicated review for it, right? It's just so good. I can't wait to discuss this book with those of you who have read. That portion of the video, the timestamp will be in the description box below that contains spoilers, because truthfully, I just want to talk about this book. I want to keep my non-spoiler review short and sweet because I have so many thoughts on this book altogether, okay? But let me just give you the lowdown. It is 464 pages of the story. And as of today, April 5th, on Goodreads, the average star rating is 4.69 with over 200K reviews, which is just wild because I just filmed my Murder Road review before, and this only had 10K reviews on Goodreads. 200,000 already. Granted, this book did come out a little bit before, but still, I was holy wow, what a difference. This book took me about a week and a half to read. It's a little bit longer than I prefer for my books. I typically like my books around 350. But like I said, this is 464 pages of the story, not including the author's note and the acknowledgments. But this book is about, it follows our main character, Frankie, who volunteers to be a nurse in the Vietnam War. And the book, I would say the first half is her journey as a nurse in Vietnam. And then the second half is her journey returning home, getting a terrible reception upon her return, and then just all of the struggles that she deals with upon her return. I cannot recommend this book enough for so many reasons. Frankie's story is it's unreal. It's amazing. It's definitely a go get this book now on my rating scale. I would get it through Book of the Month if I were you, because you can choose it as an add-on and get it for $11, which is amazing for a hardcover. I have my referral link in the description box below, and if you go through me, I get a free book, which is sweet because it means more books to read and review here. But yeah, go through Book of the Month because you can get the hardcover for a cheap add-on. Or I'll also just link an Amazon link for you as well. But you guys, like, either way, however you get the book, just get it. Like, it's so good. Rent it from your library, get the audiobook. Although I will say, and you guys know I love my audiobooks, I'm so happy that I like physically read this book because I feel like it just added to my journey reading it. Like, I don't know if I would have felt the way I feel now had I listened to it on audio. So I recommend like physically reading it, but however, whatever is going to work for you, your schedule, your life, like choose what's best for you, but just some way consume this book. I feel like I loved this book so much because it's just truthfully about strong women. It's about strong women and their stories and what everything that they dealt with, and there's just so much that happens in this book. There's a lot of heartbreak in this book. Like, it's not a happy book, okay? I sobbed like 5 times, okay? I just full on waterworks, tears. Ugh. It just made me feel, you know? I feel like I learned a lot in this book. Like, I learned a lot about the Vietnam War and just, you know, what the nurses saw and dealt with. I mean, it's just, I feel like Kristin Hannah knows how to tell a story, right? Like, if you've read any of her books before, she's just a fantastic storyteller. And, you know, she does her research. She does her research before. She actually says in the author's note here, like, that she had, I think, the concept for this book in 1997, I want to say. And then it took, 1997. And then it took her this long to kind of do all of the research and like just feel comfortable and confident enough to write it. And like, I respect that so much. Like, you know, she really did her research. She got her testimonials. She advocates for other resources that readers can access and search for if they want to learn more about just like the Vietnam War and everything. And like, oh, it's just so good. I cannot recommend it enough, truthfully. Like, just go buy it, go read it. It's amazing. It's my favorite book of hers that I've read so far. I still have The Nightingale sitting right there, but I need a minute, okay? Your girl needs a minute. I need like a couple romances thrown in there. I'm starting this, She's Not Sorry. I need a couple thrillers. Like, I need a little bit, I need some time to recover. But anyways, the rest of this video is going to be me chatting about the book. I have so much written here in this script, you guys. Like, I have so much that I want to talk about. So if you've read the book, stay tuned because I just want to talk about it with you guys. If you haven't read it, save this video, go read it, and then come back and then listen to the next part so we can chat about it, because that's my favorite part. That's why I film these videos, is to talk with you guys about books. But I am going to get chatting with spoilers. So if you're new here, I would love if you could hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new bookish related video. But we are going to get chatting. All right, here we go. I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot. So starting off with Frankie volunteering for the war, right? It shows how naive she was, how young she was. Like, she was like, you know, I want to do some good. I want to volunteer. She obviously had no idea what it was actually like in Vietnam, right? She wanted to make her parents proud, just like her brother Finn. So she goes, and, you know, it shows that she's naive, but it also showed like what a good heart she had. Like, she was just a good-hearted character. And I just feel like we really knew her and we got to just know her throughout the story, right? But that was just the very beginning. Like, it sets the tone for this young woman coming from this well-off family. She has the nursing background. She wants to do something with it. She, you know, just goes in the deep end, basically. And then, of course, Rye, our famous Rye, throughout the story, sees her in the dad's office, makes that comment about, a beautiful comment, dare I say, right? About women can be heroes too. Like that really just lit her fire, right? But that, like her journey in Vietnam, like just the parts of the book where she lands there and the smell and the heat and the noises, it was like a huge culture shock for her upon arriving, right? Like just massive. She drinks the water, she's having diarrhea for days, like she didn't get any tips or tricks. Like she literally was just thrown in there, right? Everything's crazy. She's coming from this, well-off family. It's a huge lifestyle adjustment for her. Some scenes that really stuck with me from the story are, the scenes of like the orphanage, where they had to, she had to assist in, that girl who needed her arm amputated, that young girl, she had to assist in that. The baby dying in her arms. I actually think maybe 2 babies died in her arms from napalm, or maybe it was just one. She said that she literally saw soldiers who are like brothers, you know what I mean, at this point, like literally holding each other together as they're like waiting for medical staff to help them, like holding each other as they're like dying, right? Like it's such a vivid story, so many vivid scenes, and like I just felt like I was there. I felt like I was there watching it all. Like I told my husband, like, this would make such a good movie, right? Because it's like the entire book is so wonderful. I was like, this, if they made this into a movie, this would like win movie of the year, right? Like it's just it's so good. And I think to myself all the time, like, how have Kristin Hannah's books not been made into like movies or shows? Like I thought when I finished The Great Alone, I had like the same thoughts. I was like, this would make like a great movie. And then I thought I saw something about it becoming like a TV show, or somebody bought the rights to it. And then just like, I don't know if production has started. I couldn't find much research. I don't know if it was like, a project that was said to have happened, but then just never got started. I don't know. But this, I'm saying it, you're hearing it here first. If it ever becomes a movie and it's done with the right cast and directing, like it could win best film. All right, had to switch up the location for a little bit. My daughter is wanting to go in her little glider, but it makes this like super loud noise. And I was like, that's just gonna be so annoying for whoever's watching this. So I've relocated for the rest of this video. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the relationship between Barb and Ethel and Frankie, like just throughout the entire story. She gets there, all 3 of them are from such different backgrounds, right? Like such completely different backgrounds. And yet, they're in this together. They're going through just these horrible situations, but they always have each other. They have their friendship, and they just know that they can rely on one another. And she relies on her friends so much throughout the story, especially after Vietnam when she wasn't getting any support. She goes to the, veterans clinics and VAs or, whatever. And they're like, oh no, this is only for men. Like women weren't in Vietnam, and all of, the amount of time she was told that in the story. And just, when she went to live with Ethel for a little bit, like their friendship in the story was so beautiful. And I really I think of, it was such a huge part of the story. Like I think about it all the time. Like I can't remember a book where I finished it, excuse me, recently, where I've been like, this is a true story about friendships. Like this is what friendship really is. And it was just so powerful. You guys, the ending with Jamie, okay, this is for anybody that watches anime, you're gonna crack up. Okay, so my husband, he's watched a lot of anime. I've watched some with him, not some, quite a lot, probably like 8 to 10. But his theory, anytime we're watching one, is he's like, you don't assume that a character is dead unless you like actually see them die. Because he's always like, if it's just a theory, or like you think you saw them like, get killed or go off a cliff or something, like, the thing with anime is like, it's always like, I'm back, the character's back, hello, I'm back. So he's like, we've always like laugh about that. Like, it's like, if you don't actually see it, don't assume a character is dead. And that's exactly what I did with this book. Like, she thought she saw Jamie get shot down, or I think he did get shot down, but then he like survived. So when they came back together at the end, it was just so beautiful. Like, after everything she went through with Rye, and I'll get to that, don't worry, everything she went through, I just, like, when they met again, I was like, thank God the book ended on this note, because like I was feeling just so sad throughout it. Okay, I have to talk about Rye. I have never hated a male character in a book as much as I hated this man, this character. I just truthfully, like, he was just a piece of shit. Piece of shit. I mean, he wanted everything, right? He has a wife, he has a daughter, and then he wants to have this side gig, whatever he's got going on with Frankie. And like, he just gave her so much false hope. But the thing that pissed me off the most, even more than him, like, it pissed me off that he lied, you know, and he did the loophole of like, I'm not engaged, ha ha ha, I'm actually married, like, whatever, okay? What pissed me off even more is like him coming back into her life, knowing that she's struggling so much with like the addiction and just everything going on, not feeling supported, not getting like any recognition, her family, you know, whatever. And then she tries to set the tone with him, like, listen, I'm done. Like, I'm actually done this time. And then he like does the whole fake proposal to her when he knew that she was struggling. Like, I literally was just like, you're giving her false hope, you're stringing her along. And then that hospital scene of his son being born and him even in the hospital room trying to be like, Frankie, like, it's not what you think, or whatever he said. Like, he just couldn't let it go. Like, he was so selfish. He couldn't let her go. And it just made me so mad, because I was like, you've been here. You know what she's going through. Like, she trusts you. She's told you how she feels about everything. And like, you're still stringing her along. You're still doing this for your own selfish reasons. So yeah, I mean, I was even like more happy when she got back together with Jamie at the end. But like, I felt like throughout the whole book, it's like she almost felt like she needed somebody to like save her, right? But in the end, she does save herself. You know, like, she's going to all the VAs and they're like, no, it's only for men. It's only for people in combat, blah, blah, blah. Like, she got no help. So she makes the help for herself, right? She got that land. She got all the horses. She did the animal therapy. She let the other women come to her who needed that help and support, and they weren't getting it anywhere else, right? Like, she did it. She was the hero, right? And she always was like saying, like, you know, like, I don't even know if I'm a hero, like when her dad was kind of saying that at the end. And it's like, you are. Like, you not only are you a hero for saving all those men in Vietnam, right? You're a hero for saving all these women who needed the same help that you needed when you came home, but there was no help for you to get. And I just want to talk about Sweet Henry. I felt like he was such a good character and was just so needed. You know, he was a breath of fresh air. And that scene when he's at the barn with her and his wife and like, I think his kid or kids, like, it's just, I'm like, you are such a good man. Like, this is a man. Like, forget about Rye, right? And she didn't love Henry that way, and I get it. You know, she was so hung up on Rye, but like, he was still there for her after everything that they personally went through. Like, he truthfully wanted the best for her. He was her friend, right? Like, he wanted all of these good things to happen for her, and he wanted to be there to support her. And I just, you know, I loved that bit of him. I personally didn't know a whole ton about the Vietnam War before I read this book, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I knew it was a war that wasn't supported, and I knew when the vets returned, it, you know, wasn't well received, if you will. But like, I feel like I learned so much about the war from this book. Like, it was just really eye-opening for me. You know, and when Frankie came home, she received like no support, you know, like she tried multiple times, like I was talking about. And like, I just, you know, she didn't have a safe haven. And I know I said this just a little bit ago, but she made that safe haven for herself eventually. It took a long time. It took the support of Henry and Barb and Ethel, right? But like, in my opinion, she didn't get that support from her family. Like, they supported her financially. They gave her the bungalow or whatever. But like, that scene at the end when her dad was finally said what she was like wanting this entire time, like it almost didn't matter to me at that point. I was like, she has needed you. She's needed you this entire time that she's been home, and you've just been so prideful. And the fact that she, you know, even served in the war and was a woman, like you weren't willing to admit or acknowledge or go there. Like you literally lied and said she was studying in like Florence or something. But like regardless of all of that, like she was so strong, you know, she never gave up. She never gave up in Vietnam through all of the terrible stuff that she went through. And, you know, she did what she could to help everyone. And it just like, I just loved her character so much, right? Sorry, I'm just reading my notes. I have to kind of speed through this. So I just wrote that like she didn't get any respect or help when she got home. We saw her at her weakest moments. We saw the mistakes that she made, you know, hitting that man with her car, like almost, you know, just terrible things. She almost committed suicide, not knowing it, but because she was an addict at that point. And then it's like, you see her make all of those mistakes and then how she got out, you know, how she basically made up for it in a sense, like how she was able to kind of fix what was going on with her. And thankfully her parents putting her in the help center, you know, that's what saved her life essentially, because I don't think she would have been able to get out of it had she not had that detox and all of the help from Henry. Also, this is so funny. Tab was mentioned so much in this book, and I actually grew up on Tab. It was oddly enough always in my house when I was growing up, and I have not had a Tab in years. I don't even know if they, like, do they still make Tab? Do they still make Tab? They don't. Tab was a Diet Cola soft drink produced and distributed by the Coca-Cola Company, introduced in 1963 and discontinued in 2020. Now I can't even get a Tab and I'm craving it. Anyways, all the scenes of like her in Vietnam with Barb sitting with like a cooler of Tab and stuff. I was like, damn, I haven't thought of Tab in a minute. And now I want one, but now I can't even have one. Anyways, back to my notes. I thought the book wrapped up really nicely, you know, with Jamie and seeing him there. For a second, I thought I said Rye, and I was like, oh my gosh, no. With Jamie and seeing him there, I did kind of think, like, you know, she had said, like, you could have reached out, you could have found me, and, like, he didn't. Like, that part was sad to me because I was like, they could have been, like, they maybe could have had something, you know, but I just think, you know, it's what we're supposed to take away. Like, she had everything with Rye, that whole part with Henry, the whole part with just Barb and Ethel and finding herself, and then it's almost like that happy-ish ending that we're hoping for. Like, she sees Jamie again. We're just going to, you know, assume that they end up living the rest of their lives together. You know, she ended up getting the words that she wanted from her dad, although as a reader, I was like, whatever, you're way too freaking late. Sorry guys, I thought it feels like this was like scattered. But anyways, that wraps up all of my thoughts. Not really all of them, but everything that I wrote down. I could talk about this book for hours. I just loved it so much. And, you know, I do have The Nightingale on my shelf. I've had a lot of people tell me that that's their favorite book of hers, but I need a minute. I know I already said that. I just need some time. I need some time to not sob while I'm reading a story. But anyways, if you watched this whole video, thank you so much for watching, and please leave in the comments what you thought about this book. And as always, thanks so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.